Oh, good. So you don't want to. Good. So
Yeah.
you don't want to go through any of our, predictions for like Golden Boot or anything. Just the standings, right?
No, we can go through that too.
No, 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 no.
Those are
Don't
the
worry.
next tweets. They're right
Don't
after it.
even don't even worry about it. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. It's episode 37 of season 3, and I've got a microphone. It's only taken us 113 episodes to get it, but we got it. We are now the most professional podcast out there, obviously. 2 hosts, 2 microphones, 2 scarves. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, I mean, we were already the most professional podcast. Now I don't even know. Is there a word to describe how professional we are?
Well, it's wild, right? Because we were so professional, and now I've done research for the first time in like 7 episodes. So we just taken our quality from here all the way up to here.
To the moon.
It's a midweek point or the mid-season point, excuse me, of MLS. I just got sidetracked because I thought about the horrific game that Red Bull played last night against Orlando City.
No, we are not going on that tangent. No, don't
I
even
was
try it.
I was gonna congratulate Sacramento for being a USL side to make the final. I don't know. Again, I didn't stay up that late to watch. They were defensively very strong, from what I hear. Be very interesting to see the final in September. Really hurts that it doesn't include Red Bull, but that's okay. We move on. With it being the midway point, with All-Star game coming up, we are going to go back and we're just going to review some of our preseason predictions, see how we did, or if we're on the right track, if anything can happen, right? Like, we'll talk about
They're all spot on, obviously.
We'll talk about Golden Glove, Goalkeeper of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, the standings. We'll skip the Defensive Player of the Year and Golden Boot. We'll skip both of those.
Any reason why?
there are some really, really, really good ones out here that that are gonna catch us off guard. But the only way we can figure that out is by jumping right into it. But before we do any of that, as always, scarf of the week. Connor, what are you rocking?
Well, considering I expect this to be one of, if not my most incorrect prediction, I brought out the absolutely beautiful RSL scarf today.
I did go through some of our other predictions. RSL is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Not
a great one.
You have a scarf that would have been great for this one.
No, I'm not putting the FCC one on.
No, you could have put FCC. That's a good one. I have a better one in Atlanta.
Yeah,
Atlanta
that's true. But Atlanta, I don't know. I don't feel as bad about that one.
Yeah, that's not really.
It couldn't have seen those injuries coming.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But I am currently home with most of my scarves upstate, and the rest of them covering my art that I transported from Kentucky all the way back here. So I found this random Roma scarf. I believe it says Hungary for glory. Yes, Hungry for glory. It's got the little crest there on the end. I think it's nice. The first one I grabbed. So it has nothing to do with the episode. It has nothing to do with the teams. Nobody's linked to them. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. Where do you want to start? You want to start standings? You want to start predictions? Like individual predictions.
I guess let's just knock out the predictions pretty quick here.
All right. So currently, the Golden Boot race is being led by a player who's no longer here in Pati Castellanos. You've got Sebastian Druisi, Jesus Ferreira, and Hani Mukhtar all in that same conversation. Connor, do you remember who you picked for this one?
Yes, I picked Aranjo from LAFC.
Who is actually not having a terrible season. He started off a bit slow. He is sitting currently with 9 goals and the leader's on 13. So definitely
not
within striking distance.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the pick?
I still feel good about it. And especially because he's got tons of players around him now to help assist the ball. And I feel like he's been starting to get back into that form of last season. I don't think he's going to get as many chances as he had last season, seeing as how he was like the only guy on the field who was scoring. But I still feel good about it. I still think there's a chance. I think it's a bit more unlikely, but at the end of the season, I don't feel like I will regret this pick that much.
I am completely in agreement with my pick as well. Starting off slowly, Casper Shabilko from Cincinnati has been playing out
Did you
wide.
just say from Cincinnati? Try again.
From Chicago. I'm all aboard the Cincinnati hype train. Leave me alone.
Apparently, Casper is too.
um, he is having a very tough go of it. He was my bold prediction, so I'm not like super upset with it. But he is currently sitting on 3 goals in 18 appearances, about 1,300 minutes. John Duran from Chicago as well, in just about half the minutes, is the same amount of goals. Anything can happen. I'm still seeing him light up the second half of the year, get Chicago into a playoff spot, and take us on home.
You have some lofty expectations there, my friend.
Listen. Crazier things have happened.
Have they?
I mean, yeah, we're 113 episodes into a podcast. That's pretty crazy.
That's true. How many goals is he on again?
Which one?
Casper.
3.
So what you're saying is Cucho Hernandez has already outscored him.
What I'm saying is Cucho Hernandez is a G.
What you're saying is your bold prediction, while bold, I'll give you that, was incredibly wrong.
My bold prediction is not in the woods yet, or not in the mud yet.
Should we go into our other bold predictions since we're on the topic already?
Oh, I'll get to those at the end. Yeah, why not? This is chill. This is chill. My bold prediction number 1, we talked about it, was Chicago makes the playoffs and Casper Shabilko Golden Boot.
How's that look for you?
Honestly, not great.
It's
okay.
It's not that bad. Chicago's won 3 straight. They're in 9th right now.
They're moving in the right direction. They are just 1 game out of a playoff spot with our boys, FC Cincinnati. I don't hate it. Like I honestly think that they can go on a run here. They've got players healthy again. They've gone through a tough part of their schedule already. They've gotten the tougher ones out there. Is Casper Shabilko going to be the one to lead them there? Up for debate. But the fact that they're like you said, 3 in a row, they're moving in the right direction. Again, I think Shaqiri being hurt at the beginning of that season definitely hurt. But with him back, with Chisos playing very well, with Duran coming into it and playing well, and Chris Mueller, the addition of Chris Mueller, all very good attacking options. You've got Pineda and Navarro working that double pivot. All right, Gaga Slanina still playing out of his mind. With Jairo Torres, Jairo Torres coming in off the bench and providing a little bit of spark off the bench. On paper, this team is not terrible, right? My only issue is our good buddy Casper Shabilko is not getting lots of time. So fix that, Ezra. Thank you.
Yeah, I think if your prediction of Casper winning Golden Boot had actually come true, that bold prediction would be spot on right now, because if they scored more goals, they'd easily be in this playoff chase.
That usually is how soccer works. You score more goals, you win more games.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it's San Jose scores more goals than a number of teams, but the fact that they concede like 85 a year means that they don't make the playoffs. So you still got to defend. Chicago has been pretty decent at defending this season.
Well, they started off the year with like 6 straight clean sheets.
Yeah, Gaga Slanina was looking great.
Your bold prediction number 1, do you remember what it was?
Yes, the Colorado Rapids will miss the playoffs.
very, very bold after them topping the West last year, and currently 12th place, 6 points out of the playoff race. And
I could
not
see it. I could see the future. I mean, it's not a big deal.
it it has been a rough go for the Colorado Rapids. Um, actually, I'll let you talk on it a little bit. Tell me about what you were thinking and how you feel about the pick.
I just felt like last year was a bit of a fluke to finish on top of the Western Conference. And I felt like a lot of the teams around them, even last season, felt better on paper. And a lot of teams over the offseason as well improved a lot. So like an LAFC, who finished pretty far down the Western Conference compared to Colorado last season, was coming in much stronger than they looked at the end of last season. So I really felt like Colorado didn't do enough to bolster that team and kind of rode the high of how they were performing, while the teams around them were improving in the offseason. So I saw them taking a step back this season, especially with like how even everything is in MLS. It's super easy to go from first and drop all the way back down to like out of the playoffs near the bottom of the Western Conference because of how much parity there is between teams. Like you would never see something like that in the Premier League. You're not seeing Man City next season, even if they bought nobody in. No Holland, no Calvin Phillips. They just kept the same team pretty much. There's no chance that they would drop down to like 15th in the standings. Like that just does not happen in the Premier League because there's no parity between teams. So I felt like there was a good shot that Colorado was going to drop out this season, and it's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about their issues in the back. Never been a big fan of William Yarbrough. He's had an okay, not great season. Um, they brought in Gustavo Vallecilla from FC Cincinnati, who is perfectly well known for their defensive capabilities. Then you're looking at Danny Wilson, who has been okay, Keegan Rosenberry, and they lost Mark Anthony Kaye, right? Mark Anthony Kaye is a massive loss midway through the season that they did get a lot of money back for, and they got Ralph Priso back for, but Ralph Priso still needs some time to develop, as well as the money needs to be spent, right? So definitely a lot of work to do for them to get back. Do you think this bold prediction stays true?
Yes.
I tend to agree with you.
I feel confident in this one.
Now, is it going to be close? That's the question. Are they going to go spot 8 or are they going to finish bottom?
I can't see them making a play on that playoff run there. I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now and I'm seeing Portland and Seattle sitting at 8 and 9 outside of the playoffs. And I just don't think Colorado is good enough to jump up and compete with them to get into that playoff position.
All right. Bold prediction number 2 while we're here. Both of us put a bold prediction around one Lorenzo Insigne. Am I saying that correctly?
Something like that.
Yeah, close enough, right? Lorenzo Insigne. We both tried to predict his impact in the half a year that he would be here. You remember how many you told me he would have?
I have it up. So
do you? Okay.
7 goal contributions, including second assists.
So you said 7 goal contributions. I said no more than 5 goals, period. No assists, just goals. Currently in the 46 minutes that he played, he's already got an assist. So you're ticked off one there, but he doesn't have a goal. So mine's looking better. What did you think of his debut?
I think it's very easy to look at the debut game and get very excited, seeing as how they just were all over Charlotte. I don't want to put my foot fully on the gas yet because it was just one game, but I mean, that's what you wanted to bring him in to do, right? Like you brought him in, you brought Bernadeschi in, you score 4 goals in the first game. Granted, it was a peak Michael Bradley performance, and he should get the applause for that game because I mean, he turned back the clock there, especially on that one goal, which was absolutely filthy. But I think Toronto are definitely headed in the right direction. And I am a little bit worried about this bold prediction. I'm not going to lie.
I think the front office needs to be commended very, very nicely for their job of bringing in attacking players to free up Michael Bradley's creative ability. There's no other reason you bring in Lorenzo Insigne, Bernadeschi, and all these players, if not just to let Michael Bradley be Michael Bradley, right? You stuck him as a 6 for his entire time in Toronto FC, and his brilliance is the word I'm looking for. His brilliance in the attacking third has just been masked by his inability to play as a number 6. You bring in these attackers, everybody's all worried about them. Oh, well, here comes Michael Bradley, as you mentioned, turning back the clock, turning into actually what I heard, and just through the grapevine here, don't quote me on anything, but over in France, there's this guy, Leo Misai. They actually started referring to him as the Argentinian Michael Bradley. Everybody's like, wow, look at that. That guy might as well be Michael Bradley, but just from Argentina.
I think I heard that too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how could we be surprised? Who knows how to get the best out of Michael Bradley than Bob Bradley himself?
Big guy Bob. Big guy Bob.
Come on. He's lived with him his whole life practically.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I'm thinking Insigne. I'm not super hyped for that mark, but we'll see. We'll see.
I feel like yours is going to be safe, but I'm concerned about him racking up assists.
I don't know about that. I think that's a stretch. Anyways, moving on because we do have a lot to cover today. My bold prediction 3, spot on.
That's right. Mine's just as bad.
Steve Cherundolo makes LAFC attack anemic. I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. How many goals have they scored? 42 in 21 games. You know how many Austin FC have scored? 45. This is Austin FC we're talking about. Anemic. Disgusting. Cherundolo out. No, it's not fair. The LAFC are just they're too good. I really, really, really can't wait for them to lose to like Nashville on penalties or something in the cup. Yeah, no, Stevie's done a good job. He's made them a team people want to watch. That's plain and simple.
Yeah. Should we just gloss over my last one? I don't think we need to talk about it, right?
Nah, let's go ahead and talk about it. This guy, Tati Castellanos, is not going to get sold, and he's going to stay the whole year. How'd that go for you?
Not great. Not great, because he is currently off in Spain right now. And I am also in Spain, just without the S. Yeah, not a great one. But had he stayed, he was looking for another strong season. And he's already off scoring absolute worldies in friendlies in Spain.
I'm so glad he scored that. I got so many Euro snaps pissed on TikTok.
Yep. Check out the TikTok if you want to see the goal.
We got 1,100 views already.
Blowing up. Massive.
It's got 67 likes. It's got 10 comments, and one of them is trying to defend the fact that he already knows that there's a narrative behind it, but who cares because it's just MLS. Yeah. If you haven't checked out the TikTok, go check it out. It's pretty
it's worth a view.
Oh yeah. Right, Tati over in Spain. Who steps up for NYC? That's the question.
A bear.
You think?
Yeah, time to channel a bear that was starting to raise his value before Tati took over.
Interesting. I'm going to say Gabby Pereira. I think they brought him in from Brazil to be the next guy through the pipeline. I think he's up. So I can see it being anybody, really. I think there's a lot of potential in that attacking 4. But I'm going to go ahead and say I think it's going to end up being Gabby Pereira next.
Yeah, fair shout.
All right, Golden Glove. Joe Willis and Andre Blake. Golden Glove given to the goalkeeper with the most clean sheets. Currently, we are looking at, excuse me 1 second. I have not updated the stat sheet yet. There it is. Through our clean sheets. There it is. Sean Johnson with 11. and Andre Blake with 9. So another good shout there, Mr. Connor.
Yeah, I kind of know what I'm talking about.
Joe Willis sitting on 5, so he's within shouting distance, of course. Did you see this coming from Sean Johnson?
I didn't, but I should have, because NYC have always been solid in the back line, but I don't think I expected him to be top in clean sheets.
Yeah, I thought the back line would have let him down this year. I mean, they've been running out the same group for so long, and I wasn't quite sure what Thiago Martins was going to bring. So obviously he's done very well, and Sean Johnson, obviously a class goalkeeper in the conversation for Qatar. But Andre Blake, not a bad shout, considering that Philly win every game 1-0. Probably should have seen that coming.
It was a safe pick.
Yeah, Joe Willis, 20 appearances this season, 1,800 minutes, 5 clean sheets. Nashville's defense has not been what we thought it would be at the beginning of the year. Just kind of disappointing for a team that, I mean, they're still in the playoff race, no problem at all. But you thought they would have been competing with the LAFCs and the now Austin FCs, right? Which is, but again, they're still in a good spot. They're nowhere near the Supporter Shield race, so but they'll be okay for playoffs, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that for sure, because the West is pretty tight again, and there are some good teams on the outside looking in.
Yeah, like I say, you still have Vancouver, so Seattle and Portland out on the outside. That'll push there. You've got, like I said, you got teams that we weren't expecting being in there, so now you're going to lose a good team or two. So,
yeah.
That was also our goalkeeper of the year pick as well. Usually Golden Glove, goalkeeper of the year go hand in hand. So we'll just move on to newcomer of the year, because that's the next one on the list, right?
Sure.
I'm just kidding. Defensive player of the year, really quickly. Carlos Salcedo was not a good pick. I bought into the hype. He's not even in the league anymore. Leave me alone. I don't need this nonsense. Yeimar Gomez Andrade for you. Seattle sitting in 9th place right now with 25 goals conceded. Been pretty good.
I don't know if he's gonna get it though. I don't know how much he's been playing this year. I have in my head, I have an idea of who I feel like is the potential front runner right now for defensive player of the year, and it's not Yeimar.
Who do you think?
I'm thinking it's Kyans right now.
How dare you disrespect Ryan Hollingshead like that?
Ryan Hollingshead is a striker. He is not
Giorgio Chiellini. Are we kidding?
What about Giorgio Chiellini?
Obviously, defensive player of the year.
Oh yeah, I mean, just off stature, right? All his past stats count, right? Like he's got hundreds of clean sheets already this season, right?
Yeimar's had 15 appearances, 13 starts for a team that's played 21 games. So he's been in the mix. Him, Arriaga, and looks like Jackson Regan has also been, rotating in. But you're right, it hasn't been the Yeimar show like it has been the past couple of years. And that's probably what has led to the slow start. I mean, listen, nobody's going to care. They won the Champions League. Yeah. But, he's obviously not playing to the level that he probably should have been.
Yeah, no disagreements.
Newcomer of the year. That's a good one. You had Karol Swiderski. Talk to me.
There was a time where I felt good about that one, and I don't feel good about it anymore. I think there are a lot of people that came in after we had made that prediction, and I think they have the potential to possibly take it away. Unless I'm like missing somebody like completely obvious, I don't know if there's really like someone that's like there's nobody. jumping out in my head that's like clear cut. This person is like newcomer of the year for sure. I guess right now I kind of feel like maybe Taxi Fontas is the front runner,
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
but I am definitely getting this one wrong. I don't even know if Taxi was signed by the time we had made this prediction, so I feel like it was a little unfair there.
Sure. Definitely a little bit unfair. I have Ferreira down here, which clearly for me meant Jesus Ferreira, which is a clean pick.
Clearly new to the league.
No, I picked Sebastian Ferreira from Houston,
Which is not a bad shout.
which isn't a terrible shout, but I can't find him on this list of good players.
He is on 7 goals and 3 assists so far this season.
Oh, there he is. I found him. Yeah, no, he's actually not having a terrible year at all.
No,
for a
not
Houston
bad.
side
Not
that's yet again garbage. God, I can't believe you can't be that bad all the time.
Sure you can.
San Jose's here saying what's up, aren't they?
And FCC for the first 3 years.
Don't you dare disrespect me.
I said for the first 3 years.
Don't you dare. Yeah, I'm actually happy with this pick. I don't think he'll win it. I think Taxi came in and lit. We're sitting here talking about newcomer of the year lighting the world on fire. Like Cucho Hernandez is going to finish with 15 goals in half a season.
Yeah, he'll probably win the award in half a season.
Yeah, totally.
Question for you. I don't remember if he's new or not. Is Jovelic new this year, or did he?
No, he was here last year.
Okay, I just don't. He didn't play much last year, right?
No, he didn't play much this year.
Yeah, he's got 627 minutes and he has 9 goals.
I know, it's
absolutely insane.
It's criminal that guy's still on the bench. Just fun fact for your knowledge. The 100th highest rated player in MLS, Wyatt Omsberg.
Nice.
The GOAT.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not disappointed with that. I don't think he'll win it, but I think it's a good shout. I think he's given his own there. But we should move on to young player of the year, which I think both of us are going to get wrong here.
Yeah, I think we're definitely both getting this one wrong.
Yeah. So I went ahead and went with Thiago Almada, which in the way that I saw this season going was not a terrible pick. Until he got hurt and his entire team got hurt and they stopped playing as a team and everybody hated each other. He is the 13th highest rated player in the league right now, which is pretty exciting.
Is this who scored rating?
This is on who scored rating. Yep. And there is nobody above 21 or younger than 21, excuse me, who would do that. There is one player who is 22, who is Santi Rodriguez. Could be a good shout. But you're looking at probably Jesus Ferreira, right? 21 years old.
Gotta be.
Gotta.
Which, credit to myself, I had him 3rd on my list, so he was there.
Did you? Where do you have this list? Was it on Drive?
I'm on Twitter. I just scrolled back until I found our
pictures of our stuff. Yeah, I didn't put that much effort into it. I just watched some of the videos.
In fairness, your second pick was looking really good for a while because you had Gaga Slanina on there. But that one kind of fell off, and I don't think he's taken it at this point. No. Your 3rd isn't bad either. It was Alan Velasco.
How's he doing?
He was red hot at one point, if I remember right.
Well, he started off and scored that banger.
Yeah. I haven't heard much lately, so I kind of just assumed he cooled down.
He is 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 yellow cards.
Yeah, safe to say he's probably not winning this one.
Yeah, but again, on paper, not the worst guess in the world. Julian Arujo for you from LA Galaxy.
I just figured he's been in the running for so many years, and there's always just someone who pops up and kind of blows up and jumps on the scene and wins the award over him. I just figured that wouldn't happen this year, and he would finally be able to win one of them because he's been very consistent for years.
Consistently bad at defending. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay, sure. But I don't think he's taking it home.
Jumping back to newcomer of the year, by the way, honorable mention to Abina Nobwodo from FC Cincinnati, currently leading the league like first in every category for pressures and attacking third. He's been one of the best defensive mids in the league since he joined. So good for him.
Yeah, but they don't give awards to defensive midfielders.
No, I know. That's why I said honorable mention. There's no way he's going to win it, but really good pickup there.
Yeah.
Julian Araujo is 86th rated right now.
Yeah, not the best. Not the best.
Comeback player of the year, Aaron Long or Jordan Morris. I think you've got one up on me here, but still time for him to turn around. Like I said, if Aaron Long gets on the plane to Qatar and Jordan Morris doesn't, Aaron Long automatically wins. We know that.
We already know Long's on the plane. It doesn't matter how many goals he concedes this year. He's on the plane.
And he was bad yesterday. I mean, the entire team was bad, but he looked.
But he's center back number 2 right now. Like,
honestly, I think if Chris Richards finds some form at Palace, I don't think so.
I feel like Greg's tough to change his mind, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I like my JMO pick here. I don't know what. I know we looked this up when we did it at the time, but I don't remember what exactly was the criteria for who qualifies for comeback player of the year.
But JMO has to be in there, right?
He's got 6 goals, 3 assists so far, so it's pretty solid. I like my chances, but I think it's between him and Long. But seeing as how they just don't give defenders awards, I like JMO's shots.
I say you could look at Jeremy Abobasi.
Is he comeback though, or is he just most improved?
Most improved, but so is Brandon Vasquez, right?
True. That'd be a good battle. They should give an award for that. I know they do it in the NBA. They should do it for MLS as well. Most improved.
They should. I agree. They won't, but they should.
No, they won't.
Yeah,
we can add it to our own.
Yeah, we'll make our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I don't hate my pick, but I don't think it'll win. But plenty of time to figure that out, isn't there?
Yes.
Last 2 here before we move into the predictions for the standings halfway through.
Yep.
Coach of the year. I put Gary Smith. You put Jim Curtin. I don't think either of those win.
Probably not, but Jim Curtin will definitely be in the conversation.
The correct answers, by the way, for anybody wondering. Pat Noonan at Cincinnati.
No.
Steve Cherundolo. Josh Wolf at Austin.
I think Josh Wolf's your winner.
And Pablo Mastroeni at RSL.
Don't forget Wilfred Nancy.
Yeah, Wilfred Nancy too. I think
Montreal.
that's a great shout. Yeah, Wilfred Nancy's in there too. People keep saying Gerard Struber. I don't think so.
Are you people?
No. I've seen it before where they're saying that like the front runners are like Struber and Josh Wolf, because Struber's taken a team of teenagers and put them third in the East right now. Took them to a semifinal of the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, I don't think Struber's a super bad shout, but I just don't think he's taking it home.
Oh, no shot. I wouldn't give it. Not after what I watched last night. No shot.
If you, I have our honorable mentions. If you want me to run through them,
yeah, run through them.
So your third was Ronnie Dyla.
Nice.
I think correct me if I'm wrong. Not in the league anymore.
No, he's here in spirit. He's here in spirit.
Yeah, he's here in spirit. Okay. Number 2 was Bob Bradley for you.
Oh God.
They're sitting in 13th, but you gotta think that they're gonna move up, so it's gonna look a little bit better.
But is that really being coach of the year? Is that just having the greatest?
Oh no, he's certainly not coach of the year, not even close. And then your number 1 obviously was I don't know if you said it before, it's Gary Smith.
Gary Smith.
Yeah.
Where if they go on a run, maybe, but
nah, he's not winning. I don't think he's winning it this year.
Nah, unless everybody we just mentioned falls off the face of the earth, then no, I don't think so.
Yeah. My third I had Caleb Porter, who I don't think is gonna win it. But I do think Columbus are going to push up the Eastern Conference standings and make my prediction look a little bit better. 2, I had Cherundolo, who's certainly going to be in the conversation. And then one I had Jim Curtin, who will also be in the conversation, but I don't think will win just because Philly is just good every year. I feel like that kind of like tarnishes his coaching, which is so like unfair because if anything, it should show that he's better than everybody else in coaching, that he's consistently like number one. But
Man, he's so good.
I think they'll go for someone who kind of just like took a team that was worse last year and brought them up like a Josh Wolf. I personally think Wolf should win it right now, but
I agree. But again, there's a lot of season left. You don't know that.
yes.
But I agree with you for sure. And finally, the MVP. I've got, as we'll get into our predictions for the standings in a second, but this lines up with those picks. I had Luis Araujo from Atlanta, who actually is not having a terrible year, but definitely not going to make it. I remember we picked that, and he started off red hot game one. Like first 40 minutes, he had like a goal and an assist, and then he pulled up
and then he got hurt.
Yeah. I was like, well, there goes my pick. I'm done. I was so hyped for 40 minutes. I'm like, yes, I'm over. Goodbye.
Yeah, he's been hurt, so I want to like, it's not completely just like, oh, he's not performing well, but 4 goals and 2 assists is certainly not MVP level.
And then you've got Lucas Zelarayan for you.
Yes.
Who is playing as the second best rated player right now behind somebody who plays for Minnesota. God.
I'm happy with my pick. He's sitting on 5 goals, 9 assists right now, and I feel like Columbus are about to make a strong run up the Eastern Conference, and I think he's going to be at the forefront of it with Cucho. So I'm not saying he's necessarily going to win it because he's got some ground to make up, but I think he ends up in the conversation by the end of the season.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if he's not, then Cucho will be. But no, it's a great pick. It's a safe pick, but it's a great pick that goes along with your predictions, right?
Yes.
But it's a good pick. I wanted to be a little bit more out there.
You certainly were. I have honorable mentions. I can run through it for you.
My boy Cifuentes.
Yes, number 5 you had Jose Cifuentes. 4 you had Rui Diaz, which was a good idea at the start, but he has like barely played this season. Kasper Shabilko at 3, looking like a strong pick right there. Hani Mukhtar at 2, which is a really good one because Hani's definitely in the running right now. And then Araujo at 1. I had Tati at 5, which would have looked great had he not left. Araujo at 4, Arano at 3, which is not going to happen probably. I had Hani at 2, and then Zelarayan at 1. So mine were safe, but they are also panning out better than yours.
I just want to put it out there. Like Jose Cifuentes, 6 goals, 4 assists this season.
It's not bad, but
he's not having a bad year.
You had said at some point that you thought he was going to like break the assist record.
I thought he was going to be pulling the strings for everybody in behind. Listen, with Bale coming in now and Arango still playing and Vela and Rodriguez off the bench, you never know.
Yeah. I don't know for sure.
You definitely don't. Shall we jump right into some, how do you say, standings predictions?
Yeah. You want to start off with Eastern or Western Conference?
We always do the East. Let's go to the West first. In the West, we were very similar through a lot of it, which means we were very similarly wrong through a lot of it.
What do you mean? We're right on every single pick.
I mean, yes, eventually. By the end of the year, we will be. But right now,
everybody else was wrong. Or actually, what we should say is ours is correct, and MLS has it wrong right now.
Correct.
They need to start throwing games so that we can get to what our standings predictions.
If Donnie Garber's listening,
and we know he is,
figure it out, Don. Figure it out.
How do you want to run through this? Do you want to run through the actual spot and then what we predicted, or do you want to run through?
I'll go through the predictions first.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about where they are currently in the standings.
Okay.
We both had San Jose dead last. We both had RSL in 11 or 13.
One of those looks good. One of those does not.
For me, I went Austin 12, Houston 11, Vancouver 10.
Yikes.
Hold on. I'm outside of one of those. I've got 2 of those spot on. Galaxy in 9th, Minnesota in 8th, Colorado in 7, Portland in 6, Dallas at 5, Kansas City at 4, Seattle at 3, Nashville at 2, and LAFC at 1. You had San Jose RSL, Vancouver at 12, LA Galaxy at 11, Houston at 10, Austin at 9, Colorado at 8, Dallas at 7, Minnesota at 6, Portland at 5, Kansas City at 4, Nashville at 3, Seattle at 2, LAFC at 1. So let's talk really quick. Bottom of the West right now, Sporting Kansas City, who were miraculously in the U.S. Open Cup semifinals, just lost to Sacramento Republic. We both had them at 4, clearly overreacting there, thinking that they would sign somebody. I think this was picked based off of the fact that we thought they'd be signing Alan Pulido's replacement, and then Gadi Kinda also got hurt. So they have 2 designated players off for the entire year. Obviously going to play a little bit, but the production on the field is still not good enough.
I almost want to come in with I don't even know if this would be considered a hot take at this point, but I feel like SKC is coming home with the wooden spoon this season.
Ooh. You know who's not coming home with the wooden spoon?
FCC.
My boys, FCC. Right now, they're 2 points ahead of DC United. Both.
Yes, DC does have 3 games in hand.
3 games in hand, so they'll be okay. And they're 2 points behind Toronto, who also have a game in hand. So yeah, they're looking not great right now. Peter Vermees is probably on the hot seat if he's not already. Probably should.
He's got to be right. I can't see SK like DC and Toronto are both likely going to improve considering they made a bunch of changes, and like I can't see SKC turning this around this season unless everyone miraculously gets healthy all of a sudden.
San Jose is currently in 13th with 2 games in hand. We both have them at 14. Not much to talk about there. Colorado at 12. We talked about the fall from grace. We talked about that last week, or last section rather. You had them at 8. I had them at 7. You said they'd miss the playoffs. I said they'd just get right in. I agree with you. Again, we talked about this before. I do agree with you that I don't think they're making that run, but I think they probably finish closer to 8-9 than they do 13-14 personally.
I don't know. I think they finished somewhere between 10 and 12.
Interesting. Okay. I was spot on with Houston at 11. You had them at 10. Again, super underwhelming for the performances that they should be putting on the field. And then Vancouver at 10. You have them at 12. So again, they have players, but they got some really big gaps to fill. However, they did just qualify for the Champions League through the Canadian Championship.
Gotta love this league.
Gotta love it. We'll have a whole different conversation next week about CONCACAF Champions League qualification and all of that. Okay, up in 9th is Seattle. We both have them at 3 and 2 respectively. What's going wrong for them?
Man, at the start of the season, it was easy to blame CCL. And I do think that was genuinely the reason they were struggling. I really thought they would turn it around more, though. It seemed like they did for a little bit of time. And now I feel like they've kind of started again. I mean, they've lost 3 of their last 4, which is not great. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe are they like super hurt? I don't think so. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not enough that they should be struggling.
Rui Diaz has only played, 700 minutes, which is also massive, but he does have 5 goals in that span. Morris is coming back. João Paulo's only played 700 minutes. That's another massive loss. So, when you're the striker that you're using is Freddie Montero, and he's got more minutes than Raul Rui Diaz, that's an issue.
Yeah, I still thought this team would, even with what they have right now, missing João Paulo and Rui Diaz, I thought they'd do a little bit better. This team is still really strong on paper.
The other note is that their depth pieces are all 22 and under, right? Leo Chu at 22, Reed Baker Whitting at 17, Davalier at 19, Obed Vargas, who's been playing well, at 16, Daniel Leva at 19, Dylan Tevez at 22. Again, lots of young reinforcements off the bench, so very Red Bull-esque. In 8th, we have Portland, who we both had at 6 and 5, respectively. They're right on that bubble. They win one game, they're up in 4th. So I think they're relatively close to where we thought they'd be. Quiet, right? You know, they haven't been going on massive runs or losing streaks or what have you. But like I said, they're win a game, tie a game, win a game, tie a game, win a game, win a game. I mean, they're unbeaten in 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
7, actually.
these are your MLS Cup finalists right here.
Yeah, they're going on that stretch where it's okay. These guys might be legit, but then they also have losses to Inter Miami, a 7-2 beating of Sporting KC. What other bad losses do they have? They lost to LA. They lost to Dallas. Lost to Colorado. You know, so they're beating teams and they're also losing to bad teams, right? So hopefully they can continue to hit their stride. What do you think about the Timbers so far?
Yeah, I don't know if there's too much to say right now. I think they have what it takes to get into the playoffs still, but maybe not as high as I had thought originally. I think maybe they get in as like a 6-7. But yeah, I think it's just been like a pretty, I would just say like normal season for Portland. It's not like they've skyrocketed up the West. They're not struggling at the bottom. They're just kind of in the middle.
Yeah. Eric Williamson has been making his return from injury. He's got about 700 minutes and 4 assists so far. So as he continues to get the form, you'll see some success there. And Jose Carlos Van Rankin, who they brought back from loan last season, has been relatively underperforming. He is, of anybody who's made 10 appearances so far, he is the 3rd worst rated. So he's definitely got some work to do there for sure. And then moving into the playoff spots, we got LA at 7. You had them at 11, and I had them at 9. Again, they're 1 loss out of 9. But what about this 11th pick?
I thought they would follow their form at the end of the last season and kind of just like harp on missing out on the playoffs a bit longer than I had anticipated. I still feel like I still feel like they drop out of the playoffs. I think one of either Portland or Seattle jump them, at least one of them. And I think they fall back to like 8 or 9 and just miss out again. You know, I think Vanny's done a really good job with the team still, but I just don't think they hold on to this playoff spot. Granted, much better than the 11th that I was predicting for them, but still don't think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I agree with you. I think they do fall out. Obviously, I predicted them to be there. Their big name signings have not been good enough for them, period. Kevin Cabral is of anybody with the 2nd worst player with anybody with 10 or more appearances. Jonathan Bond's been really underwhelming. Grandsir has been very poor. Douglas Costa, their DP, is non-existent most days. Really love the addition of Gaston Brugman. I watched him play after Red Bull played against Austin. He just brought this calming presence that they haven't had there for a very, very long time. So I think he'll be very successful in that role and will help them stabilize. But I still think they'll struggle with, the likes of Derek Williams, Eric Zavaleta at times, Nick Dupuis. You've got, and then obviously when your subs off the bench are Victor Vasquez and Sasha Question, you're gonna struggle a little bit. So I don't think they make the playoffs. I still think they miss out, but I think my prediction is close.
Yeah, I think so too.
Nashville, in 6, we both have them 2 and 3. They are 28 goals for, 28 goals against. They don't score a lot. They don't concede a lot, but that gives them, what are they? They're 8, 7, and 7 right now. So they're basically 500. You're going to have basic close games going either way. They're pretty bang average on the bell curve, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think if they defended a bit more how we expected at the start of the season, I think they are probably in that 3-5 range, in which case we're not far off from our prediction. But I think not that their defense has been bad, but I don't think it's been as strong as we expected it to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, again, you're looking at really every game that they've played except for Charlotte, DCU, Colorado, and FC Dallas loss have all been 1-goal games. So last year, they really fell on that and they favored that to get them to where they were. And this year, they're just falling the wrong way. So I don't. It doesn't shock me. Like I said, I still think they do enough to get in the playoffs, but those goals or those close games are not going in their favor. Just the way it is.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so happy with this pick. Dallas at 5. That's exactly where I have them. You have them at 7. We both had them in the playoffs, but I'm spot on right now with where they're at. Love this pick. Paul Arriola, great signing, $2 million in Garber money. Surrounded by Jesus Ferreira, who the second he takes off a U.S. men's national team shirt is the most deadly striker in the world. You got Velasco, who's helping out. They're just a fun team to watch, right? They're just a really, really fun team to watch. I've got them spot on, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think obviously they are over performing my prediction for them. And I just did not expect Ferreira to step into the Pepe sized hole as much as he has. I also didn't expect Paul Arriola to come in and produce as much as he has. So I think sleeping a bit on the FC Dallas attack is what made me drop them a little bit lower, but I definitely thought they would make the playoffs. I still do. And I even think that they will jump up a spot in the playoffs and finish like 4th.
Ooh, get themselves a little home playoff game, huh?
Yeah, I just feel like, it doesn't really change much, I think, I guess it gives them home game in the first round.
Yeah,
So
little home playoff game.
yeah, so that's pretty important. So yeah, I think they can jump up to 4th.
So here is the only thing that worries me about this team. Jesus Barrero, Paul Arriola are the Johnny Russell and Daniel Shallowy of this team. They've combined for 21 goals, 7 assists, while the rest of the team has 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 7, 7, 10. 8, 9. You're looking at the rest of the team has a third of the goals that they do, if I did my math correctly. Maybe half the goals, and then, anyways, they're the ones scoring. The rest of the team is just sitting there and doing their job, which is fine. But the second one of them goes ice cold, the goals go away, the wins go away, and the farther they drop. So we saw how quickly it could happen with Sporting KC. That's something you need to watch for Dallas. In 4th, RSL. Yeah, we missed this one. What was your thought process behind RSL low?
I still don't think that our prediction was bad for this one because on paper they looked terrible going into the season.
They still do, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, cover your ears, RSL fans, but I think they drop out of the playoff picture and don't make.
Wow, that's bold.
I do. I think that they rode a hot start and they're cooling off. I mean, in their last 5 games, they got 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses. So, I mean, I think they're cooling down from their hot start. I don't think the talent is that at the level of the other teams to compete with them. And now that they're coming back to earth, I think they're going to move down the Western Conference. Obviously they're not finishing 13th. So our prediction is 100% wrong, but I don't think they stay in the playoff picture for the rest of the season.
What we got here? We got San Jose versus RSL. Got to think that's a win there. LAFC, got to think it's a loss. Seattle could be close. Vancouver should be a win. Dallas, they played them close this past game. Minnesota is probably going to be close. LAFC again. DC United should be a win. Austin, I'll say, is a loss. FC Cincinnati should be a win. The Galaxy should be a win, and Portland will be a tie. I think they make the playoffs.
I think you're writing off a few of these matchups a little too easily.
I didn't ask, so
Okay. Whatever you say.
In third place, the Loons. That hurts me to say because I really don't want them to make the playoffs. But as I was conversing on Twitter,
I just don't understand. You used to be like Loons fan #1. I know.
Then they came at me. They came for me. What do you want me to do?
But now you just like completely turned against them and you just hate them now.
Listen,
that's why you put them 8th.
It's what they deserve. But here's the deal. You have this guy, Emmanuel Reynoso, who will drag this team from the depth of the Western Conference and make them a playoff team. I don't get how it happens, but he does it every single year. You think they're done. You think their roster's terrible. This dude walks in with 9 goals, 3 assists. Robin Lowe's got 6 and 2. Luis Amaria's got 5 and 2. And that's it. But he just will drag them around and make them good.
That's what your star player is supposed to do.
Yeah, tell me about it. I wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't.
Actually, I would. Luquinhas is great until it comes in high-pressure situations. If it's great for the Red Bull mold.
Minnesota is going to comfortably make the playoffs this year, and your prediction's going to look very bad.
Yeah, I know. You had them at 6, so
yeah, in the playoffs.
Yeah,
not as high in the playoffs as I think they'll finish, but
yeah,
still had them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry. This is probably their last year of relevance, and then they're out.
Yeah, okay. Whatever you say, buddy.
Finishing this up, obviously Austin in second. Nobody expected Drew Easy to play like an MVP caliber talent. 13 goals.
I should have rode the wave harder. I had some belief in Austin as I put them up in 9th, which was like a big jump up from last year. But I didn't ride the wave hard enough, and I should have.
Yep. Yeah.
I should have went bold, but I was too weak-minded to do it.
I mean, even outside of Jurisi, right? You've got Fagundes, who's 5 and 7. You got Yerutu, who's got 7. Ethan Finley's got 5 and 4. Like, this team's scoring for fun. They can't help themselves.
It's crazy.
I believe
Wolf has done such a good job with this team.
Oh, he's been fantastic. I do believe, yes, they are leading the league in goals right now, this team.
Yes, even more than LAFC.
Yes, which is unbelievable considering the fact that they really didn't bring in too many big names, right? All these guys were here at the start of the year.
Yeah, they brought in the right pieces to fill those holes.
Right, except I think, is Yeruti here for this is his first year?
Yes, I think he was with Houston last year.
Yeah, he was with Houston last year. So they brought in one player who added 7 goals, which is great. That's exactly what they needed from him.
Yeah, well, you also got a full season of Jurisi this year.
Right, it's the Ben Bayer curse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have half a year, you're bang average, and then your second half of the year, you blow up.
Yep.
Keeping that in mind for next year's prediction, by the way. And finally, not much.
Toronto.
And finally, LAFC.
This was an easy one.
That's the tweet.
Yeah. I mean, it was easy before they had brought in all these extra guys. And now, I mean, it couldn't have been easier.
All right. Move over to the East real quick. Finish this up.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. At the bottom, DC United. No real shock. We both put them at 10. All right. Sorry. Let me go back. My Eastern Conference from 14-1, Charlotte, FCC, Inter Miami, Montreal, DCU, Columbus, Red Bull, Orlando, Chicago, New England, TFC, NYC, Philly, and Atlanta. Connor, FCC, Inter Miami, Charlotte, Chicago, DCU, TFC, Montreal, Red Bull, Orlando, New England, NYC, Atlanta, Columbus, and Philly. How do you feel like just listening to that right now?
I still, there's definitely a couple in there that are 100% going to be wrong, but overall, I still feel pretty good about this.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't wait to see the Chicago climb, get in the playoffs, and make everybody laugh. But let's talk about DC United. I remember both of us talking about DC United as the team that was in 10th because we didn't know where else to put them. They were just so bang average on paper. You just didn't know what to do with them. So you slid them into whatever spot was left. Obviously, a very poor season for them. Taxi Fountas is obviously their best player, the guy who came in and just started running through teams. He's got 10 goals in less than 1,000 minutes. It's unbelievable. But other than that, they have been really, really struggling for goals. What do they have? They have 26 goals on the season and 43 conceded. They get the worst goal differential in the league, if I remember correctly. Nope, other than SKC. Sorry, SKC is even worse. What do you think? We always talk about Rooney coming in and cleaning house right now. Do you think it's enough to get in and turn this ship around? What they're doing?
I mean, turn it around from the bottom. Yeah, I think it's enough. Turn it around and make the playoffs. No shot. No shot.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I don't know if they'd finish bottom. Man, how great it would be if Atlanta finished bottom.
I wouldn't really be that upset. It's not like they just have played poor the entire season. I mean, granted, they're not playing their best, but they have been just riddled by injuries, like insane amounts.
Yeah, DCU, obviously their season's over. It's time to do the whole thing where you rotate everybody out, you put all the new young players in, you give them a test, you see what they can do. I mean, you've got players like Jackson Hopkins at 18 years old. He's got 400 minutes already. Griffin Yao has been sent out on loan. Moses and Nyman has not played much at all. Camarnie Smith, bunch of sub appearances. Chris Durkin has been very, and you've got, like I said, it's time to start throwing in the, Ted Kudipietro is getting some minutes. It's time to start just kind of putting the young guys out there, see what happens. But this has been a very poor team outside of Taxi Fountas, and very interested to see how they build around it for next year. TFC at 13. I had them at 4. You had them at 9. So again, this was me riding the Carlos Salcedo to the moon hype train, which we're not going to talk too much about.
The train derailed.
However, after watching what they did to Charlotte, and I didn't watch the game they lost against Vancouver, but after watching what they did to Charlotte, I can't imagine this team actually misses the playoffs.
You can't imagine this team what?
Missing the playoffs.
They got a lot of ground to cover.
What are they? They got 22 games, so they've got.
They're only 6 points out.
Yeah, no, I'm not stressed at all with this team. I think they'll be perfectly fine.
I guess only time will tell. I am very curious to see how they pan out in terms of like meshing the team. I mean, borderline the same team that played and destroyed Charlotte went and lost to Vancouver.
Yeah, Canadian Championship, different type of pressure, though. The Italians wouldn't understand.
They just won the Euros. They completely understand.
Yeah, and they miss the World Cup.
I mean, it couldn't be my nation.
Nope.
Yeah, I still feel like I feel pretty good about my prediction still. I still think they just miss out.
I think they'll land somewhere between our predictions. I mean, anywhere from 6 to 8, I think, is a better prediction.
Fair enough.
Personally. Atlanta at 12. Obviously, I rode the hype train of this team not being completely injured. I think you did too, putting them at 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
This one you have to take with a grain of salt, right? I mean, they came out completely on fire, and then everybody, what are they on, like 6 long-term knee injuries right now?
I mean, everybody got hurt.
I mean, you that team I say you as if you actually did it. You're that team, and maybe it's that turf. I don't know. That team single-handedly ended like 4 careers. Like I don't think Guzan comes back. I don't think
Ozzy
comes back, and Emerson's. That's the second one, right?
Emerson's been he came back for a little bit. But But yeah, he was injured at the start of the season.
Yeah.
It's
I gotta be honest.
crazy. I mean, it's I just look at the team that they're playing out on the field and you'll understand why they're in 12th. I mean, they are on their best center back got hurt. They're playing a midfielder and a winger at wing backs right now. Starting goalkeeper got hurt, starting defensive mid got hurt. I mean, their defense got torched. The
Yes.
whole defense outside of Alan Franco gone.
Oh no, that entire back line is a second team back line.
Yeah.
You're looking at, first of all, Rocco's Rio Novo is garbage. He's bad.
That's all we got. Bobby retired. So.
You just brought in Guadinho, who should be a step up, but man, for what was advertised from Rocco Rios Novo when they signed him, thinking he was supposed to be the next big thing, he has been bad. You're then looking at, obviously, like you mentioned, Alan Franco. You did bring in Juan Porata, who will slide in eventually. But then you got George Campbell, who I thought started really well and then fell off. Caleb Wiley, a 17-year-old at left back. Then you hurt Brooks Lennon and Ronald Hernandez. You're playing Aiden McFadden at right back. Your defensive midfielders are okay. Sadic is Franco Ibarra and Santi Sosa. Then you got Marcelino Moreno, Rossetto, Thiago Almada, Luis Arujo, Joseph Martinez. I mean, here's the deal. Like, I get it. You're really hurt in the back. But those attackers right there are not -4 goal differential.
No, I think they have been struggling, but it's been really tough for them to build any chemistry because all of them have been in and out of the lineup the entire year.
No, for sure. But I still think it's really poor that they haven't been more successful. I get the injuries in the back killed them, but I still think it's pretty criminal that your attackers are as bad as they are.
I think obviously the talent is there. They're not meshing great together. But again, I think that they rotate around the front so much that it's just so hard for them to like get any sort of chemistry going. I mean, they like Yosef's coming off the bench now, I think some games because of Cisneros. And then like Moreno and Almada and Narujo kind of like can flip around, and Dom Dwyer's in the mix sometimes. You know, it's just kind of like constantly rotating. So I think yeah, I don't know. I guess at this point in the rest of the season, you just try to build what you can and take some momentum in the next year.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, that and again, that's the point right now. That's why you continue to play Aiden McFadden. That's why you continue to play Caleb Wiley. Let them go. Let them go. Let's see what they can do. Right. If anything, you're just building their profile for the future. Right.
Yeah.
Miami at 11. I had him 12. You had him 13. Not much to talk about there. You knew from the start that this team was basically rebuilding. It was basically an expansion team. And Phil Neville is, I don't want to say he's gotten it right, but he's done what he could with what he has.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to put it. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what other moves. Like I said, the Pozuelo move's a good move. Corentin Jean's a good move. Leo Campagna is going to go back. I wonder if they make Vasilev permanent. You know, there are lots of things there that you can see as potential for sure. But again, not much to talk about in Miami. More importantly, something to talk about is New England being in 10. We talked about, we both had them at 5, but we talked about them struggling to replace Matt Turner. And they kind of have done it. It just feels like they've been really underwhelming since the season just kicked off overall. Like it's just been really underwhelming.
Yeah, I think they've been missing Bo, and obviously Books has gone now. And I heard there were rumors of Josie leaving too.
Josie's on his way to Mexico, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. Obviously they just brought in Giacomo. He made a sub appearance against Columbus last game, so I think they're just kind of like slowly getting them in. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I'm looking at this team, and this is a lot of the starters from the team that won this, that has the points record in
Correct.
history.
Correct.
So I think they've just been underwhelming, honestly. I know
Right.
they've had some injury issues. Like I remember at the start of the season when I think both Kessler and Farrell were out. Turner was hurt, obviously, as well. So, I think there's some injury issues, but like I still feel like this team should be doing better than they have been.
Yeah, I mean, Carlos Hill's been good, but relatively underperforming for what we expect of him.
Yeah, well, compared to
That,
last season.
that might be that might be unfair considering what he did last
Yeah,
season.
I think he's got like 5-11 right now, which is like still really good. Just
Yeah, yeah,
he
that
set the
that that
bar
was a
very
little
high.
yeah, that was a little bit harsh for sure. Adam Buxa, their leading goal scorer outside of Gustavo Bo. Both of them have 7 goals in under 1,000 minutes, but one of them is now gone. Brandon Bai has been okay. Petrovic has been their goalkeeper replacement. He's been very, very solid since joining. So I believe they've got the Turner replacement there. Dylan Barrero is somebody I thought would have fit in much, much better than he has already. I believe you'll see him. If I had to make a pick for a player who's going to have the Ben Bayer curse, it'd be this guy. I think he's going to have an okay half of the season, maybe not get into the playoffs, and then next year blow up. And Sebastian Lletget was the signing that kind of we all scratched our head at. And really, the biggest issue is Omar Gonzalez is still getting minutes.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's got 700 minutes the entire season.
I got to imagine most of those were at the start when they were really hurt.
Yeah, you would hope. I do think Vrioni is going to make a big difference up there. The attacking four of Vrioni, Bo, Barrero, Carlos Gil, and then insert whatever right wing attacking midfielder you'd like. I think they'll be much better. But yeah, it just feels very underwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
My boys Chicago at 9. You had them in 11. I had them at 6. We talked about why I had them at 6. Why'd you have them at 11?
Yeah, because on paper they're not good enough to be a playoff team.
Actually, the correct answer is you're a hater.
Sure, I'll accept that title. I'm definitely hating on Chicago. I don't think they make the playoffs. But I would love to see Gaga Slonina do well for his future move to Chelsea. Or should I say Barcelona? Yeah, I obviously made the prediction before Mueller came in. But I don't see that changing a ton. I think they need a bit more work still if they are going to make the playoffs.
So you are wrong, and that is okay. You're allowed to be wrong in this area. Chris Mueller's been their second best player since he got here. 3 goals, 3 assists. Xherdan Shaqiri is now healthy, so he's going to get more time. They have Wyatt Omsberg at center back, so instant playoff team. And then Kasper Shabilko, 3-1, is about to have 17-1. So this team's going to the playoffs. I will not hear anything else outside of it.
Okay. Anything else?
Charlotte at 8.
Very feels weird.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it.
It's just like I don't think we expected them. They hit like a good run of form at some point in the season, and I don't think we expected them to do that. And I think that's what has carried them to the 8th spot right now. But I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but this team just doesn't feel good enough to be in the playoff contention. Like, am I wrong in thinking that way? Like,
I want to say yes. I mean, let's talk about roster, right? Karol Swiderski up top. Shin Yoshiki has been a fantastic signing. 5 goals off the bench for him. Corujo in the back has been relatively solid. Ben Bender, a revelation. Fantastic center midfield. Christian Fuchs has been okay. Brent Bronico actually hasn't been terrible. Kalina's been pretty good. Yordi Reyna's got a couple goals. They're relatively spread out, but I don't think this team on paper is like not a playoff team. They also just added Yazwiak, right? Um, and a few other additions too are on their way in. I don't hate it. Like I'm about this Charlotte FC resurgence, right? I had them at 14th because Miguel Angel Ramirez said they were screwed. And when he was there, they were. They went on and they moved him out. And now they're in a playoffs, picture. Good on the front office for seeing it and accepting it and saying, okay, let's go ahead and see something. After they made that change, 4 losses in 9 games, and one of them was the Toronto game that just happened, right? So before that, it was 3 losses in 8 games. That's a great record for the new guy coming in. And really, you look at it, you got DC United, Chicago, Orlando, FCC, Chicago again, and Red Bull to finish the season, depending on where they're at. This team can make a push.
I don't think so.
I think you're a hater.
Yeah. I feel like if you had it your way, you'd have everybody in the playoffs, but that's just not how it's going to happen.
Well, I would. Everybody needs to win. That's where.
Okay, if Charlotte's making the playoffs, who's dropping out right now? Who in the playoff picture is dropping out so Charlotte gets in? Well, 2 teams have to drop out because you have Chicago getting in as well.
Cincinnati and Orlando.
Okay. Now what about Toronto? Because you also had Toronto in the playoffs.
Red Bull. See ya. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Montreal riding. Montreal. No, it'll be Montreal after Jordy's sold.
I'm just saying, I don't see Charlotte in the playoff hunt late in the season.
Weird because I didn't ask.
I didn't. Fair enough. My brain shut off. I couldn't think of anything.
Couldn't think of a comeback.
I was like, whatever. I can't go for it.
Let's speed this up then, so you're not stuck. You want to talk about teams who are in the playoff race? FCC. You were a hater. Put them dead last. How dare you? Put some respect 13. On that. Yeah, but I didn't put them dead last because I have some respect. Obviously, the Brandon Vasquez emergence, the Lucio Costa emergence, and the signing of Obi Nwodu have been phenomenal for these guys. Brandon Vasquez is going to play himself into Qatar. Don't at me. Lucio Costa. Lucio Costa is leading is in the MVP conversation. And the biggest difference about this team is they're finding ways to not lose. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest difference. In their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, they've lost once, won once, and drawn the other 6. Now, granted, one of them was New York City, where they blew a 3-goal lead, whatever. One of them was Red Bull, where they had 2 red cards and barely survived, right? So you have 2 different ends of this. You have your good draws and your bad draws. But at the end of the day, these guys are finding ways to get the results that they need. And that's massive, massive, massive for a team that wants to make the playoffs. Good teams find ways to get points in bad situations. And that is what we're looking at with an FCC team here. You've got, like I mentioned, Acosta and Brandon Vasquez and Nwodu, 3 of the players who have played more than 10 appearances. They're the top 3 players. But then you're also looking at Barrero, who's got 5 and 4, which is a massive help off the bench, which is something that you haven't seen before. So if he continues to stay hot with Acosta and Vasquez performing at that level, they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I have the same concern that you had with what team was it?
The loss.
Yes, where it's the attack relying on 2 people, because this team does not defend well. They've conceded 38 goals this season, which is like 3rd worst in the Eastern Conference. So if Brandon Vasquez and Lucci stop producing in the attack, this team is going to quickly fall down the standings.
Right, because obviously Chicago need to make it in. Right.
There's a bunch of teams below them that are going to be pushing hard for those playoff spots. Toronto, New England, Chicago. And I think draws are great for keeping you in the conversation, but I think if you want to lock up a playoff spot, you got to win some of these games. So that's a concern as well.
So you say that. Now, they have more losses than they have wins or ties, but that was at the beginning of the season. They were trying to figure things out, right? Nashville last season made the playoffs by just tying everything. They found a way to not concede, and they got into the playoffs. So they're on the good path there.
Well, the thing is like you just said, they found a way to not concede. FCC have already conceded 5 more goals than Nashville did the entire season last year. So,
all right, you and your numbers are really poking holes in my.
FCC are finding ways to concede.
Listen, I've got a narrative that you are poking holes in, and I'm not about it. I'm just not about it.
All right, let's move on to the next one then.
FCC to the moon. I just like to put that out there. Columbus in 6th. I had them in 9th. You had them in 2nd. They're currently sitting in the middle. Yes. However, I do feel like they're probably going to trend more towards your position than my position.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
They need to get healthy, right? And I think that was one of the reasons I dropped them low, is I didn't know how healthy they would be coming back.
Because you're a hater.
1, 2, 3. Currently unbeaten in 6. At least 6. I haven't looked back that far. Lucas Elarayan, Cucho Hernandez, Pedro Santos, all absolutely balling out. Darlington Nagbe controlling the middle like he does. Derek Etienne having the season of his life, 5-5. You've got even Eric Hurtado trumping in some goals there too. They have lost Miguel Berry. We talked about that last week. They've lost Jalcy Zardes. Talked about that before. Cucho Hernandez stops performing. They're in trouble. Don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to say they don't get up to 2nd, but I'd say maybe 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I think they jump Montreal and Orlando. I think they make a push to compete with Red Bull and NYC in the top 4 and Philly, but I don't know if I see them getting the 2nd either. I think they're top 4 though, for sure.
Yeah, I could tell.
Barring they stay healthy. Stay healthy.
If they're healthy, I'll tell you they'll be Red Bull, no problem.
We'll see. They got some points to make up.
But yeah, again, but you're looking at it. They're a little bit more spread out than usual. Darlington, Nagbe picking up some goals. Etienne picking up some goals. So even if they, Cucho does go cold for some reason, they'll have people who can.
Even though you just said if Cucho stops scoring, they're in trouble.
Shh. Changing my. It is late, okay, and you have editing ability, so you just.
All right, so then let's move on to Orlando.
Orlando City sitting in 5th, making it to the Open Cup final after demolishing Red Bull. 8-6, 30 points. You had them 6. I had them 7. Again, one result here or there.
Yeah, I mean that's probably where they're finishing, is like lower part of the playoffs.
Right, and that's exactly what we talked about, was that this roster was good, not great. It was good enough for the playoffs. It wasn't top 4.
It's weird. They've been, I would say they've been very underwhelming this season.
Extremely.
They're sitting in 5th with a -5 goal difference, which is kind of wild.
Which is why when we talk about playoffs and CONCACAF Champions League, we don't really care about a team that wins a 4-game tournament making the playoffs, because people like that can go and win an entire thing. Anyways, sorry, I got off topic there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so your biggest signing, right, Facundo Torres has been okay. Mauricio Pereira, 1 goal, 6 assists. Alexander Pato has been back into the goals. Cara also 7 goals, 2 assists. Pedro Gallese still playing out of his skin. Cesar Arujo scored his first 2 goals ever as an Orlando City player against Red Bull last night, because that's what we do. We're nice people. But yeah, just really underwhelming for a team that had Alexander Pato coming back, had Erkan Kara coming back up top, had Facundo Torres playing as a wide number 10, has Mauricio Pereira playing in the middle. You'd think they'd be more dynamic. You'd think they'd be more successful, right? And they've been brutally anemic. I mean, outside of the Red Bull game, the last time they scored more than 1 goal in a game was a 5-3 loss to DC United in the beginning of July. So they've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games without scoring multiple goals in a game.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, super underwhelming. Do you think they settle in this spot? You think they fall out? What do you think?
I think they sneak into the playoffs in the 7th spot, but if they miss the playoffs, I wouldn't be overly surprised.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that's probably right about where I'd put them as well. All right. Finally, one of the bigger ones that we've gotten wrong, Montreal at 4. I had them 11. You had them 8. Obviously, this is this is an easy answer, right? What caused their resurgence into the playoffs?
Jordy.
Actually, and Ramel Kyoto as well. But
True.
Jordy Mahalovich has been playing out of his skin. Ramel Kyoto is almost on double-digit goals. And they're also another team that's relatively spread out. Joaquin Torres with 3 and 1, Kai Kamara with 3 and 5, Lassi Lavalina with 1 and 2, Rudy Camacho with 1, Alistair Johnson's got 1, Kamal Miller's got 1. I mean, they're scoring from all over the pitch. So it's a much tougher team to defend than just okay, go mark, Jesus Ferreira and Paul Arriola, and you'll be fine. Obviously, still have some trouble in the back. We talked about their defensive struggles with. Oh, my brain's not working.
Patrick,
thank you. I was reading the names here, and I saw James Pantemis, and I'm like, we didn't interview James. It's been a long day. Right. So we talked about defensive issues are the big ones, but you're also getting really good play out of Ismail Kone, who's now linked to Norwich in the championship. 20-year-old center mid from the Canadian national team. So they've got quality players here. They do need to clean up their defense a little bit, but do you think they finish in the playoff spot?
oh, that is a tough question. I feel like
it's a 50-50. It's a yes or no.
I feel like they just miss out. I want to change my opinion on the Orlando. I think Orlando miss out, and I think Montreal just make it in. I think Jordy does enough to get them in the playoffs, but I think there are enough teams out of the playoff picture that are going to storm into the playoffs that somebody's got to move out. And I think Cincy and Orlando drop out, and Montreal just squeaks in.
Well, you need a third team to drop out when Chicago makes it.
No, I don't.
I'm going to say that they squeak out. I don't know if they make it. Right. We talked about their defensive issues, and let's look at their roster their fixtures towards the end of the year. New York City, going to be a tough one. Columbus, going to be a tough one. Should get a result at Inter Miami. Houston is a toss-up. I believe that's Houston away. New England Revs is going to be tough. Chicago probably should be going their way, but they're streaking right now. Red Bull's always a weird matchup. Toronto FC late in the season when they get hot. Columbus again. Chicago again. New England. Then you get DCU and Inter Miami to close it out. They might get lucky on that last string of games with DCU and Inter Miami, but they got a real tough run of it. I wouldn't be shocked if they fall out.
Yeah, that is a tough run. It's possible. I think those games against Chicago may end up being really big.
Yeah, the Chicago ones are going to be like I said, they might be they might be each fighting for the 7th spot. You never know.
Yep.
Glory, New York Red Bull. What to say about New York Red Bull?
There's not much to say. You guys are just going to make the playoffs like every year.
Yeah, but let's talk about this for a second, right? We're currently slated to have a home playoff game with a home record of 3-3-4. Our away record is 7-3-2. We have 7 away wins. That's the same as Austin and one more than LAFC. That's unreal.
Red Bull Arena is a fortress.
Yeah, for everybody else. I had them missing the playoffs. You had them sneaking right in. Man, this team is playing dangerous soccer for summer weather. And by that, I mean they'll press all out in the first half, and they're either going to score 4 like they did against Austin, or they're going to score nothing like they did against NYC. Then they're going to come out for that second half, and they're going to be gassed. And it's just going to be a poop show, for lack of a better term. For lack of a non-PG term. Struber is struggling to understand the correct moves to make. Last 3 games, he's made very, very questionable substitutions. And the team is young, so they'll play through it. I think they make the playoffs, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a really rough run of form right now.
I think they make the playoffs easily. I don't see this team dropping out. They feel like a good team. And I think they've built up enough of a barrier that even if they do hit a bit of a bad form, I think they get in.
See, that's a struggle with being a fan of the team.
Yeah, I know. You can't be too high on your team.
Yeah, because I watch them a little bit closer than I watch most teams, and it's like, okay, well, I just watched you guys concede 5 to an Orlando team that hasn't scored double-digit goals in 7 games. So, rock on, guys. Good job.
Yeah.
Disgusting. New York City in second. I have them in third. You have them in fourth. A team that just lost their leading goal scorer, the Golden Boot leader in the league. Who do you think steps into this? Did we talk about this already?
Yes.
Okay, so we talked about how Gabby Pereira is the one that's going to step in, and you think it's yes because we talked about the Golden Boot, and then yeah, okay. I told you it's long. We don't record this long often.
Yeah.
So we talked about those players stepping up. The other thing that we can talk about is how good their defense has been. When you look at them, they've conceded 21 goals, which is the second least in the league, behind an unbelievable Philadelphia team that's conceded 15.
That's actually insane.
Me, that's disgusting. Yeah, listen, these guys are once again in a very good spot, and they've got a stadium coming from what it sounds like. You see that? You see that?
I did see that. Yeah. Eric Adams approved one for Queens.
Yeah, right.
That could be that could be a whole other episode in itself, but
yeah,
we'll talk about that another time.
We will. But listen, this is right about where they belong. No question, comment, or concern. The real question is, can they survive without Tati? I'm going to say yes, because they have City Football Group's dirty, rotten oil money to feed them whoever they want. So, I mean, you're looking at Tyus Magno, who's got 5 and 6, Santiago Rodriguez, 2 and 7. And then you're looking at, as we mentioned earlier, Thiago Andrade, 4 and 1. Gabby Pereira's got 4 goals, and Barrero's got 6 goals. These guys can score goals, and their defense is strong. This is where they'll finish. They'll get lots of home games. It'll be great.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely finish in a home spot for the playoffs, but losing Tati, I think, makes me feel better about Philly finishing first.
Yeah. Really, it depends on how smart certain teams are, right? Has anybody learned that they can't play possession out of the back of the baseball stadium? Clearly not, because teams keep trying to do it. It doesn't make any sense, but here you go.
Yeah.
But anyways, 1 point ahead of them to finish this episode off is Philadelphia, who you had winning the conference, which is very good. And I had second. So again, another team that just has a very, very clear identity, knows exactly what they want to do, and execute it to perfection. Jim Curtin, an absolute genius of the tactical game, has a team that has conceded 15 goals in 22 games. That's absurd. Daniel Gazdag making absolute waves with 10 goals and 3 assists. Julian Carranza, the signing of maybe MLS history, getting a player of his quality for $200K GAM or whatever they paid for him. Miko Ure has 6 goals. Ali Bedoya's still got 5 goals. He's still kicking around. Corey Burke's got 4. I mean, this team just knows what they're doing. It's very, very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you would expect it going into the season. This team is the same on paper pretty much every year. And that's the way it should be, because this team is super strong, super, super strong. They have I think they've only conceded more than 1 goal, maybe twice in the entire year. And one of the times was to LAFC. So like, this team is just, you knew what you were expecting. Like, they're going to be rock solid. I think if the goals number goes up a bit more, they got a shot to challenge LAFC for the Supporter Shield. But as of right now, I don't think they have the firepower to take on LAFC and win the Supporter Shield.
So just for our listeners at home, the current record for goals conceded is, where'd it go? Oh, it's up here. The current record for goals conceded is 20 by, first of all, the Philadelphia Union in 2020, which obviously COVID year, right?
Yeah,
But
that
it's
doesn't
also,
count.
it's also Real Salt Lake with 20. Now, Real Salt Lake in 2010 played 30 games. It's 0.6 goals per game. The current pace that Philadelphia is on is 0.68 goals per game. So they're right on pace with record-setting numbers right now. Now, because that stat is based in games play or total goals against and not goals per game, I mean, they probably won't get there simply because they play more games, but very, very impressive for a team to be in that strong defensive shape like that consistently. By the way.
Yeah, plus they're doing it in MLS 4.0.
Yes, they are. I said Philly, they conceded 35 last year in 34 games. They're on pace to shatter that record right now. With 12 games left to go, I mean, you're looking at a team that's going to concede 24 goals this season. That's absurd.
That is absurd.
That's absurd. But again, credit to Jim Carton, right? He knows what he needs. He goes out, gets what he needs. They're not the flashiest players. They're not the big name signings, but they're the guys that get the job done.
Yep.
Credit to Jim.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to chat about before we call it?
No, we got to wrap this up. It's been like an hour and a half.
It's been a long one, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of the Designated Players Podcast, Season 3, Episode 37. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you know when this episode and all of our episodes go live. And also make sure that you're following us on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, because that's where we post all of our stuff. You want to see clips, you want to see highlights, you want to see anything like that, we've got it for you. Just go follow us so you make sure that you can see them. Otherwise, you got to hope that the algorithm puts it on your For You page. And it probably should because we're, massive, but whatever. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.